How did your high school crush turn out as an adult? He had a roller coaster of a life. I admire him more than ever. And more than most people I know. But can't wrap my head around why I ever found him physically attractive. Maybe it was always just his heart. By age 25, he had a PhD, a wife, and was a captain in the Navy. By 30, he had 2 PhDs, a small business where he made a metric ass ton of money, and his wife was pregnant. By 31 he was diagnosed with stage 4 skin cancer that swiftly spread to his lymph nodes, bones, esophagus, and a few other places. He was told he had minimal chance of making it 5 more years. Even with the best health insurance money can buy, it still basically wiped him out. 7 years later, he's living a comfortable but not extravagant life as a civilian contractor for the Navy. Same wife and 2 happy healthy kids. And spends most of his free time advocating for better public health care. She committed suicide. Found out later she had a crush on me too. Frick life sometimes. Began acting. It's weird, every so often I'll see a commercial or something and be like, oh, hey, I know them, my crush is an incredibly sweet person. So I'm glad. I remember walking up to her and asking if we could talk in private. And she said you can say what you need in front of everyone. Her group of friends were all around. So I asked if she wanted to go on a date. She burst out laughing and said yeah. No. Shit was rough. Man. Looked her up last year and she's a cage fighter now. What? I had 2 unrealized crushes in high school. One is a teacher and musician. She is married and has either 1 or 2 kids. We've kept in loose contact via social media and ran into each other at an party shortly before she got married. I was introduced to her now husband as favorite ex ever. He seemed like a decent dude and I'm happy for her. I believe the other became a US attorney. I have not heard from her since Google Plus almost became a social media thing. I imagine she's still very productive and would be disappointed in my life choices. He's an attractive gay man. I am none of those things. My only GF in high school was my crush. Her mom banned her from dating me after about a year because my GF admitted to her mom that we were fooling around. This was about 20 years ago. She's still living with her mom. No kids. And as far as I know never again dated seriously after her mom broke us up. Still has the same job from high school too. It's like her mom went way into protective overdrive and my former GF never grew up. I met her in 1987. We got married 5 years ago. We used to go to the same punk shows. That's where met. Mine was my best friend. She turned out to be a pedophile. She always liked younger guys. Like when she was 17 she had a 13-year-old boyfriend, which was weird. But we were kids and I didn't think about it much. Turns out she continued to like younger teens as she grew into her 20s and 30s. Found her on Tinder. She said I was hot. Pointed out that I was that loser she used to know in high school. Had a big laugh. Been a little over a year. Now we send each other memes and hang out occasionally when the pandemic isn't being a bitch. Dead by 32. Drugs. She's still hot. Successful and wealthy entrepreneur. And married someone with the same first name as me and who quit his job to brew beer. I crushed on her for a bit. Didn't think she was interested so I dated others. Then come to find out she crushed on me senior year. I was too dumb and blind. We connected freshman year of college. She wrote me letters. And by the time I wised up she had moved on. No one to blame but myself. They both ended up as great guys. One has a huge family and is a minister. The other only has 1 child and is a college professor. Both married nice people and are happy. They were really good guys in high school and ended up being really good adults. I've got both of them on Facebook and we keep in touch peripherally as we stayed friends over the years. Making me wonder what I ever saw in them. I was a freshman and had a crush on a senior. To add to it, she was a cheerleader and her brother played QB for the football team and got a college scholarship. She showed up at a football game a couple of years later with a baby in tow. She's married now and back in her hometown. That's about all I know. An insanely talented molecular biology researcher at Boston. And she's still insanely attractive. Edit. It looks like a lot of people feel like they know the same person. It's crazy how many molecular biologists people know. About to be my fiancé if all goes well. He's doing good for himself. He's grown emotionally. Has a seemingly healthy relationship with a longtime girlfriend. And is working healthfully on all his career and personal goals. My first high school crush who sat next to me in freshman year English was a really cute punk rock girl and she's gone on to become an incredibly hot fitness model. Haha. My husband. Our first marriages didn't work out and we reconnected after our divorces. If only I would have confessed I had a crush on him in high school. Might have saved myself a lot of trouble. Lol. Edit. Thanks for the awards, everyone. His friend murdered him over a girl. My English teacher still looks fine as frick. Back when I was younger and crushing hard, I got on AOL Instant Messenger and had gotten my crush's screen name from a friend. I worked up the nerve to start a conversation with him and soon after some awkward small talk he sent me a message in Comic Sans. Black background. Red lettering. And in French. I then went to Google for translation and found out he had just called me a pig. In French. Being a seemingly awkward and chubby teenager, I was literally crushed. The heartbreak was only made worse by remembering that a few weeks prior I had selected to take French class the next year and couldn't change it. Years later, now that I've blossomed, he follows me on every social media platform. Has reached out a couple of times to try and flirt, hang out. Hard pass. I believe he's moved away and is a teacher now. I don't know about you guys, but I had way too many crushes in high school. Became a professional cheerleader. Died of breast cancer at 34. Googling names from high school is crazy. Edit to at. Thanks for all the support, Reddit family. I'm also surprised how many on here know her and in a way makes me feel better that such a beautiful girl did make an impact on people's hearts and assured me she is not forgotten. My friend's high school crush was Tom Holland. Like they went to the same school. Ended up committing suicide a few years after high school. She was a teacher and got caught having an affair with a female student. Edit. Reddit is weird AF. Some interesting comments here. Still hot AF. I never made a move in high school. About 7 years after graduating, I saw her on social media and said what the hell and asked her out. We've been dating for about 2 years and I'm about to pop the big question. She has a dog and I don't. I briefly worked with mine and didn't realize it was her until I left for another job. She looked almost unrecognizable. But it was 15 years after I last saw her. She's married with a couple of kids now. So pretty standard life, I guess. She ended up getting knocked up by a freshman shortly after we graduated. She passed away our senior year. 6 months after she agreed to marry me after we graduated. Hot douche who doesn't really do much except go to the gym. To be fair, that's how he was in high school. I just liked it back then. I had several. One of them is still a close friend. And he became a primary care doctor. He also officiated my wedding. I have no idea what happened to another one. We didn't really have overlapping friend groups and she doesn't do social media. One of them is a math professor now. So that's pretty cool. My biggest crush in high school was my longtime neighbor. But it also fizzled out pretty quickly after we went to homecoming together. We're still good friends. And our families still keep in touch. He's also the guy who introduced me to my husband. Overdosed and died last year. I got to see him before he was taken off life support with a really good mutual friend we shared, organ donor too. It was surreal seeing him dwarfed by all these machines. He had one of the largest hearts I've ever come across. Edit graduated back in the early 2000s and last year 2019. WTF is time even anymore? There was a girl I really admired for a while. She didn't really give me the time of day after freshman year though. She was co-valedictorian and hugged me as I crossed the stage at graduation. And no one else got one. I'm still really confused about that 6 years later. She went on to med school and is either married or at least engaged to a guy she met there. Overall she's doing really well. And I'm happy for her. Edit. Thanks for all the warm wishes and thoughts. Guys. I'm just happy for her. And glad she's doing well. Going to an all-boys school sucks for having realistic crushes. However. Ran into one of the teachers years later and she still looks bellissima. We reconnected through Facebook, though I can't stand FB anymore. When in our late 40s and now she is my wife. She's still beautiful. Still a 10 for looks. I'm sure she kept on as the amazing, kind person she is. She moved to another country. Speaks multiple languages and is more successful than I imagined. She seems happy but we haven't talked since the time I told her how I felt about her about 20 years ago. Went on to be a teenage model for hair products. Graduated from Yale. Toured Europe. Opened her own successful ceramics company that is sold worldwide and is often written up in magazines. Makes me feel like poop every time I think of her. It was one of those days where they just suddenly pop into your head and you decide to try and look them up on Facebook. Found him. He ended up being a pilot. Added him and we became Facebook friends. Turns out he has a flight attendant girlfriend and they were traveling together and then few months after being FB friends they shared the news they were having a baby. Haha. I had 3. 1 from the first 2 years and 2 from the last 2. The first one is now F2M trans. Who walked to Colorado to join a cult commune. He is now in Arizona recording rap albums. The second girl moved to Florida and lives in a swamp. She periodically hits me up to tell me she misses me. How dumb I was that I didn't follow through. That we should get married. The third was a missionary. She wasn't really into it once she grew up. Came back home and I introduced her to one of my closest friends. They've been married for 15 years. 0/3. You made me check and she is actually a very successful artist and an art teacher at a renowned university in France. She even got decorated for her work, Chevalier des Arts et des Lettres. Edit. Thanks for the attention. I'm not really willing to give much more details. I'm just going to add that she's French and she's not teaching in Paris. She ended up dating and marrying the guy who bullied me all through middle school and high school. They seem like a functional family from what I see on social media. She turned out great. She married me. We actually met in kindergarten. Just checking in to confirm that I was no one's high school crush. Carry on. He is still hot. Got a part-time scholarship to study engineer and is dating a Miss Spain runner-up. My high school ex randomly sent me a text years after we split up that went, "I know you don't like metal, but I thought you'd like this," and a link to a clarinet cover of a metal song I played in HS. Little did he know that I hated playing clarinet and I was now a total metalhead. Hedge fund manager with a trophy wife. One of them is homeless and a druggie. It's very sad. The other one is famous in his home country. Is a best-selling author. And is regularly on TV. Don't have a crush on him anymore. But I'm glad we are still friends. And I'm happy for how well he's done. I guess they balance one another out. Turns out I was attracted to losers and burnouts lol. That hasn't changed much. He was this nice cool guy who would consistently post memes and stuff on social media. Then 2 or 3 years later, he deleted all of his social media. I don't have his phone number or know any friends that know him, so I don't know how he's doing, but I hope he's doing well.
Hi there. Look, if you enjoyed the video, well, why not go ahead and hit that like and subscribe to Reddit Stories. In fact, if you want to see even more responses to this thread, well then, take a look. There's the link in the description below. And remember, show some love to those authors while you're there. And I look forward to seeing you next time.